Hello and welcome to the garden. Very quick video today about 3 of my naughty tomatoes. So I tend to grow heritage varieties. The only exception is the sun gold tomatoes that I grow for my wife, but generally speaking I'm growing older sorts, and they can be a little bit scrappy and they can have some odd quirks in their growth and fruiting, and I suppose this may happen from time to time with modern varieties as well, but I think it's more likely to happen with some of the scruffy old fellas. And I have 3 tomatoes that are behaving very badly. I'm going to show you 2 in this greenhouse first because those are going to be okay, and then I'll show you the one in the greenhouse next door, and that one unfortunately is not going anywhere. So these here are Canestrino de Luca. It's an old regional variety from Tuscany. It's a very nice tomato, and you can see this plant is growing in entirely the normal way. So we've got the main stem coming up, and from that stem we get the flower trusses here. Hopefully we'll get some nice fruit on that, and then of course we're getting the leaves, and in the leaf axils we're getting the side shoots. So this is entirely normal, and that's how they grow, and the side shoots develop in exactly the same way as this main stem. And then up here we should have, yeah, there it is, in there we've got the growing point, so that this continues to grow on and expand in exactly the same way. Leaves, and in between we get the flower stalks, and then we get our side shoots. And I can pull this one off now, I don't need it, but this is the normal growth habit. Then we've got a naughty one next door. So this has come up, there's the main stem, that's a side shoot, you can see the leaf here, that's in the leaf axil, that's the main stem, up it comes, and oh dear, it has no growing point. It's just decided to turn into a truss of flowers. So this will not now grow. There's the possibility that somewhere here something might emerge, but typically that is the end of this plant. Now, I happened to spot this in time, and I didn't remove this side shoot. So this side shoot now, if I can get that leaf out of the way, this side shoot now is going to carry on growing, and this will be my main stem that I'm tying in. This will just keep here for the fruit, but this part in terms of growing is completely useless, and it's just, it wasn't pulled off, it wasn't damaged, it's just decided that it's not growing anymore. It's terminating with flowers, and I've seen pictures of them where they come up, this leaf comes out, and then you get a single flower here at this point. Not even a nice truss like this one. You just get one flower pop up, and that's the end of it. Now, if you've still got side shoots on, you're okay, because you can allow one of those to grow on, and this will become the main stem. If you've taken all your side shoots off, you're in a bit of trouble. Now, this didn't happen, I'm not sure if this happened at all last year. It certainly didn't happen with the Canestrino de Luca, but you can see that exactly the same things happened here. That is the main stem, and this is the leaf, so that's in the leaf axil. This is a side shoot, and this has come up and decided, now I can't be bothered to grow anymore. Just terminated with, well, what will be a nice collection of fruit, undoubtedly, but that is not good. If I would have pinched this out, potentially that's the end of this plant. But I've got this side shoot here, and this will grow on and be my main stem, and that's absolutely fine. I had seen that this was happening with both of these plants, and I deliberately kept this side shoot. When I pulled the others off, I left that one to replace it. So I'm in the other greenhouse now, and I'll show you the one I'm a little bit worried about. that behavior, it's not normal, it's not what you'd expect from it. You expect that main stem to keep on growing. You don't expect to lose that growing point, but it can happen. And it's always worth being very careful with the topmost side shoot. Normally you want to pull all of those off, but just take a really careful look at the growth at the top. And if there's any doubt at all, leave that side shoot in place. Only the top one. Take all of the others off, but just leave one up there, just in case there's a problem with the growth at the top. And that's what I saw with those two. Early on, I was pretty suspicious about the growing point, so I left those side shoots in place, and I'm really glad that I did. But I've got one in here which doesn't have any side shoots. I've taken a look at it. It's possible that they might develop, so I might not replace it this week. I might leave that till next week, just to see whether we do get some side shoots developed. There are some that I've taken off, and once you pull them off, generally speaking, that's it. I'm not going to get new ones there. I've removed that growing point. It's gone. But there's at least one and possibly a couple of places where new shoots could come, where I haven't taken anything away. They may or may not, and I'm a little bit doubtful. So I'm thinking that this plant has pretty much reached the end of the road, and that's really frustrating early on in the year. Now this can happen at any point. It very often happens quite early on, and whatever flowers you've got there, that fruit can develop, but the plant's not going to grow on, and it's not going to produce any more trusses, and that will be the end of it. So it's kind of wasted, and at this time of year it's a bit of a disaster. I've got one set of flowers there, so that's all the fruit I would get off of that plant if I leave it in place. Let me show you. So this one is a Pianolo del Vesuvio. It's a nice looking plant, it's healthy, there's nothing wrong with it, except that it has completely snookered itself by getting rid of its growing point once again. So we've got the main stem coming up, we've got leaves, and we've got the truss there, and well, we've got the second truss. I suppose that was probably the second truss. This should be our growing point here, and it's just terminated with flowers. So that's a different variety from the other one, but again, it's an old local variety. They can be a little bit scrappy, and well, this one appears to have terminated itself. Now, you might just be able to make out down here the scar from where I've removed side shoots, but I don't think I've removed a side shoot from here, and that means that it is just possible that one might emerge. But if it hasn't done anything in the next week or so, then I think this one is, well, it's not completely scrap. I would move that somewhere just to allow this fruit to develop, but I'm not going to get a proper plant here without a new shoot developing. And I think that's the only, this leaf axil is the only place where that is now likely to happen. There's no scar there, so I'm sure I haven't pinched anything out, but yeah, that is a little bit frustrating. You can see on the neighbouring plant, now these are quite stocky plants. We've got the first truss coming up here, then the second, which is probably what we've got on that other one, but then this growing point is away. We got the third truss, the fourth is coming here, but still the growing point is fine, so that's not a problem. And I can see in there I've got two young side shoots starting, so this side shoot I can comfortably remove, because even if there's a problem up here, I do have these others starting. So I'm not 100% sure with that one yet. There's still that possibility that maybe one of those places might yet develop a side shoot, and I just want to wait a little bit just to make sure before I pull that out, but I'm quite doubtful at this stage, and certainly at the lower points I've removed those side shoots. So the whole point of this video really is just to say that although it's obviously good practice with your cordon tomatoes to go along regularly, pinch out all of the side shoots, it's always worth being a little bit careful with the top side shoot on the plant there, and just make sure that you haven't lost your growing tip. And you might have 100 plants in your garden and there's not happened to a single one in the season. This year I've had it happen to 3 plants already, so it's a little bit unusual to have 3 out of this bunch, I think. But anyway, I do have a spare. Now, I had 3 grafted plants left over when I planted these out a few weeks ago, and I just slung the 3 in a corner in the greenhouse here, and well, as a consequence, it's an awful looking plant, and I'll be quite sad to have to use this. You can see it's a little bit crooked. Not that that would matter, I can plant that all right. The graft is sound, that's the main thing. The graft is okay, and well, I suppose the main thing really is not the graft, but the fact that it has a growing tip. But it's dry and pot bound and thoroughly miserable in here. So what I'm going to go and do right now is pop this in a bigger pot. These were due to go out on the compost heap, and I don't know why I hadn't slung them already, but it's most fortunate because, as it happens, this is the same variety that's gone wrong there. This is another Pianolo, so I will be able to fix this problem one way or another, but I want to do that maybe in a week's time, because if that does produce a side shoot, the plant's going to be a lot better than this scruffy old thing, because it's had time to get its roots down into the soil, whereas this one's just been sulking in the pot here. But anyway, thankfully I have a spare. So that's my first job today. Anyway, that is all for this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and bye for now.